All right, football fans, welcome to a Monday morning episode of the Call Sheet Daily Podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Smith, here on the Fans First Sports Network. And today on the show, we're talking breakout stars. Specifically, who will be the NFL's breakout stars in 2025? And we arrive at this topic on the heels of the Oklahoma City Thunder winning the NBA championship last night, defeating the Indiana Pacers in a Game 7, kind of an unfortunate Game 7 because Pacers star Tyrese Halliburton goes down in the first half with an Achilles injury, kind of an ugly injury. You knew he wasn't coming back right away. It kind of really took the wind out of the sails of Indiana, and they just really weren't able to muster enough offense for the rest of the way to stay with the Thunder. But the real story of that NBA Finals and of the NBA season in general was the emergence of Shea Gilgeous-Alexander as a breakout star. He was a great player entering the 2024-2025 season, but I wouldn't necessarily call him a household name. He played for a small market team in Oklahoma City. He scored a lot of points, but he wasn't the kind of guy who was a face of the NBA type player just yet. The NBA had established stars like, Nikola Jokic, who's coming off some MVP seasons in Denver, and Luka Doncic, some of the European stars, some of the older players, the LeBrons and the Kawhi Leonards and the Damian Lillards, maybe on the back ends of their career, but they're looking for younger stars to now lead the league for the next 5 or 6 years. And they got one in Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, who earned the rare distinction, I should say, of leading the league in scoring, winning the MVP award, and winning a championship. Very, very few players have done that in one season in the NBA. So Shea Gilgeous-Alexander becomes now the NBA's big breakout star. And maybe now going forward, it's marquee player. Who will be those players in the NFL in 2025? I don't know. I'm not going to say all of these individuals will earn the status that Shea Gilgeous-Alexander has earned. They certainly won't be as recognizable. Basketball, much more of an individual sport than football. Because obviously less players and one star can dominate a little bit more than they can in the game of football. But let's go position by position through the league and forecast some potential breakout stars for this 2025 season. Starting on the offensive side of the ball, let's start at the sports marquee position, the quarterback position. Is it fair to say that Jaden Daniels, quarterback of the Washington Commanders, has already become a breakout star? You could easily argue that he was the league's breakout star for 2024. So I don't want to include him on this list, but I do want to say this. In order for Daniels to become a bona fide star, he's got to do it again. The interesting thing about Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is that while I don't believe he was necessarily a household name entering this past season, he had already put up some really impressive seasons and some big numbers. He just needed the larger stage to really truly showcase his talents. Jaden Daniels got onto a big stage last year as a rookie. I mean, the Commanders make it to the NFC title game. But much like what we saw with CJ Stroud, the quarterback for the Houston Texans, who had a great rookie year in 2023 and then seemed to regress a little bit last season. And now you're not yet ready to put CJ Stroud in the conversation among the league's elite at that position. Much like Stroud, I think Jaden Daniels, there's a chance that he could regress as well. So you kind of have to see it one more year with him. He is set up for success. I do not expect regression. Washington has invested a lot of capital in rebuilding their offense. They've traded for Laramie Tunsil. They spent their first round pick on an offensive tackle. They acquired Deebo Samuel. They're trying to surround Daniels with the pieces that he needs to become a bona fide superstar. And I think he'll get there. But we do need to see it one more year. Let's give him one more year before we call him a bona fide superstar. But as for guys who could break out at the position this year, guys who could enter the conversation now as true stars at the position, the name I'm really looking at is Drake May in New England. Drake May did not start the season last year as the Patriots QB1, but he earned that distinction by the end of the year. And by the end of the year, he was playing some pretty good football. And New England, much like Washington, has invested a lot of resources in their offense, particularly in the draft, trying to surround Drake May with the tools that he needs. And they've also brought back offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels, whose structure I think will give Drake May an opportunity to succeed. The kid has a world of talent. He needs a better supporting cast around him, and he needs an offensive coordinator who knows how to put his talent to use. And I think he has those things in New England right now. I think Drake May is primed for a breakout season at quarterback. At running back, I think Jahmyr Gibbs, much like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, is a guy who's already really, really good, but maybe not a guy that everybody knows. If you play fantasy football, you know him because he's great. He's a great fantasy football pickup. But he hasn't yet earned the distinction among the league's elite running backs. This could be a year where he does so because Detroit will probably need to lean on him more this season than they did in years past. The Lions have lost some pieces. I think Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator who left to become the head coach in Chicago, did a great job of moving Gibbs around the formation to try to maximize opportunities to get him the ball in space. I think Detroit can pick up there, but I also think he's sneaky in his ability to withstand contact, and he probably can carry a bigger load. I think he'll get more touches in Detroit this year, and he's so explosive that more touches could yield big numbers. And the other name to look at, and I don't like to put rookies on breakout star lists too much because you just don't know how they're going to acclimate to the game. But Ashton Genty in Vegas is going to be the starter, is going to be in a run-centric offense with Chip Kelly as the OC and Pete Carroll as the head coach, and is going to have every opportunity to be the feature guy there. I think Genty could be, I wouldn't put money on this, but I think it could be a pretty good bet, could be the offensive rookie of the year. And he's already pretty much a household name, and he's got the opportunity to earn star status very, very quickly in the NFL. Wide receiver, the name I really like this year, Keon Coleman, Buffalo Bills. He is now their number one guy, the feature guy. He was a second-round draft pick last season, put up some decent numbers, but the Bills have not done much at the wide receiver position, which tells you that, hey, they have a ton of faith in Keon Coleman. They really believe that he's a guy who can become a bona fide number one. And in that offense with Josh Allen, he's obviously going to get tons of opportunity. He needs to improve on his drop rate. He had a 13.5% drop rate last season, which was the 8th highest in the NFL. So he's got to hold on to the football. Got to do a better job holding on to the football. But if he does that, he is big, he is physical, he is strong, he is a good route runner, he is explosive. He has all the tools to be a star in the league. And this year, as the number one receiver, the feature guy in Buffalo, he's going to get the opportunity. All right, tight end. Let's look at another rookie. Tyler Warren, Indianapolis Colts, tight end out of Penn State, their number one draft pick. Indy has a long tradition of tight ends being incorporated into the passing game. I think Dallas Clark and his relationship with Peyton Manning, that's something they could build on in Indy with Tyler Warren. They certainly don't have a Peyton Manning at quarterback. Daniel Jones will never be confused for Peyton Manning, but I think Daniel Jones in Shane Steichen's offense is a nice fit. He's athletic. He can get out of the pocket. I look for a lot of boot game from the Colts. And that boot game is really tight end friendly. And Tyler Warren at 6'6" and 260 pounds, and a guy who can move at an elite level is a matchup nightmare for defenses. And he could be a name that just pops this year as the tight end position continues to acquire importance in the NFL. On the offensive line, here's another rookie. Again, I've mentioned now 3 or 4 rookies, but these are guys I think who really do have an opportunity early on. It's the combination of talent meeting opportunity that could allow these guys to break out early. But Tate Ratledge, the center for the Detroit Lions, their 2nd-round pick out of Georgia, will get every opportunity now to win that starting job. He was a guard in college. He's going to kick over and play center with the Lions. Frank Ragnow, their all-pro center, announced his retirement last month. And now Tate Ratledge, the rookie, looks like he's got an opportunity to lock that position down and become the center of what is already an excellent Detroit line. And I interviewed Tate Ratledge at the NFL Scouting Combine. He was a really interesting, intriguing, sort of pensive individual. Looked kind of goofy. He's this huge guy with a big mullet and a bad mustache. But he was really thoughtful and pensive. I asked him if he could give me a non-football activity that he's done that he believes has helped him with the game of football. And he said turkey hunting, which I found interesting. And he said it's because it teaches you patience. You have to wait it out. And that's a really important quality for an offensive lineman to have. He's got a great opportunity in Detroit now to become a starter and a household name on what remains a really good offense. All right, what about on the defensive side of the ball? Who could some of our breakout stars in the NFL in 2025 be on defense? Well, how about Leatu Latu, the edge rusher out of Indianapolis, who last year as a rookie had a 14% pass rush win rate. That was 3rd best among rookies, and did it while kind of being bumped from one side of the ball to the other and not necessarily having a proven role in Indianapolis. I think in year 2, being a little bit more comfortable, being able to put a little more on his plate, refine his technique a little bit more. He's a guy whose sack numbers could really escalate this year and could be a significant impact player at the edge position. If you kick inside, interior defensive line, I think something similar is true for Tavondre Sweat, the massive defensive tackle out of University of Texas playing for the Tennessee Titans. I think Tavondre Sweat, 6'6" and 360 pounds, is just the kind of guy when you think of old school nose tackle who is a 2-gap player who absorbs double teams, but he's also explosive. I mean, he's a guy who can get into the backfield, and he's a guy, again, 2nd year. You look at a lot of these guys to make that leap now that their feet are wet, now that they've got a feel for the NFL game, now that they've learned how offenses want to attack them, etc. He has all the ability and freakish size to go with it. Could be a huge year for Tavondre Sweat with the Titans. I'll give you one more interior defensive lineman. 3rd-year player, Kalijah Cansey down in Tampa Bay. A little bit of an undersized guy. Kind of has some Aaron Donald type measurables at the defensive tackle position. 7.5 sacks last year. You've seen his pass rush win rate improve in each of his first 2 seasons, or I should say in his second season. 9.4% pass rush win rate as a rookie, up to 11% last year. I think it's going to leap up again. He's a guy, 1st-round pick, ready to probably become a household name. At linebacker, here's a name you'll recognize, but this individual hasn't yet established his own identity, and that is Jeremiah Trotter Jr., linebacker, Philadelphia Eagles, wearing the number 54 that his father, Jeremiah Trotter Sr., the Axeman, as Eagles fans called him, wore for many years in Philly. Trotter Sr. was a crowd favorite amongst Eagle fans, and I think Jeremiah Trotter Jr., now given an opportunity to play in the starting lineup in Philly, has an opportunity alongside Zach Bond in that really, really athletic defense that he's got an opportunity to emerge in his second season as a player with bona fide star status. How about our D-backs? Well, a former Eagle, Isaiah Rodgers, now in Minnesota, signed as a free agent by the Vikings, was sneaky good last year in Philly. He only made 3 starts, but he played 421 snaps. And in those 421 snaps, he only gave up 18 receptions, really good numbers. And half of those were in the NFC divisional playoff game against the Rams. So he had a tough one in the snow in LA, tough conditions to play D-back. Otherwise, he was really good, just overshadowed by some of the bigger names in Philly, and moves on in free agency. And now you put him in Brian Flores' defense, that mad scientist defense. He's a good man cover guy. Flores loves to play man and bring pressure. Could be a breakout year for Isaiah Rodgers up in Minnesota. And one more name to wrap up our list, Mike Sanderstil, Washington Commanders. Played a lot of slot corner last year in Washington. Undersized guy. He's only about 5'8", 5'9". But, man, he has got ball hawking skills, tremendous toughness. Won a national championship up at Michigan a couple years ago where he was an explosive playmaker for the Wolverines. Showed some really good things as a rookie in Washington, and he'll get a bigger stage this year. The Commanders will be a high-profile team, and Mike Sanderstil's name is going to be one that I think will become more of a household quantity. So if I had to pick from all those guys I just named, if I had to pick one, who is the one breakout star of all of those names that I would really lean heavily into? Who do I think is going to be the name that we're talking about a year from now, the way that we talk about Jaden Daniels? It probably would be Drake May. I really think that Drake May is primed for a star season up in New England because, again, he's got Josh McDaniels with him. I think Mike Vrabel is going to build a better culture there. He has better weapons around him. The rookie Travion Henderson's going to be an explosive player in that offense. So look for Drake May to take a significant leap. And look at all these guys, man. I think all these guys, the Keon Colemans and the Ashton Genties and the Jahmyr Gibbs, those types of guys will get more publicity than a Tate Ratledge or a Tavondre Sweat, but I think they're all primed to make big leaps. So to bring it full circle, congratulations, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and the Oklahoma City Thunder. And now, as we turn our attention fully to the NFL, let's see who breaks out in 2025. All right, that is our Monday morning opener. Hope everybody is awake and alert and ready to embrace the week. It's hot here in the East Coast, so get to a pool, get in the ocean, run through the sprinkler, break out the slip inside. Summer's here. Embrace it. Hope everybody has a great day. Take care.